Okay. I need to find there we go. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad y'all could make it here with us. This is the beginning of our kind of spring lunch and learn series. Similar to what we did last year, we're going to present these virtually. That way it's transferable for anybody who can or cannot attend. If you are able to attend and get some live action questions answered, that is awesome. But again, it's accessible to everyone in this kind of format. Feel free to be eating your lunch and doing whatever you need to do. I'm just grateful to see some of our volunteers present for this. This Lunch and Learn is going to be all about documenting. We all know that Texas A&M AgriLife Extension is a state agency, so documentation is imperative. And when Ian and I go through onboarding trainings and admin updates, this is the documentation gets brought up every time we're together as an extension group. So we thought that this would be a very good, valuable place to start our Lunch and Learn series. For our tenured volunteers, some of this might be repetitive. We are going to break up the volunteer groups via the slides. So whether you are involved with 4-H, whether you're involved with TIA, whether you're a master gardener, we're going to try to classify you all a little bit. That way you can understand what's specific to your group. But there are some overlaps. So we're all here together today. Let's see. Let's get going on as long as my presentation. There we go. Okay. Now, Ian, you unmute if I talk over your slide because I didn't write that down. I think this one's mine still. You give me a thumbs up. Is this one still mine? Okay, very good. So again, like I said, we do get new volunteers, but many of you that are present today are tenured. I just wanted to let you know who you might see in the office because even though Ian and I are probably the most permanent fixtures, we do get interns and the program assistant position due to its part-time nature kind of revolves sometimes. So there's me. I'm your FCH agent in charge of all of family and community health programming that comes in and out of the office. We have Ian now on board. We got him in June, so I know you've all probably gotten acquainted with Ian. His official title is Ag and Natural Resource. Him and I are both extension agents, so we just have different disciplines within agriculture. So that's us. Y'all know Miss Donnell there. We love this picture of Miss Donnell because this is how many of you as volunteers might encounter Donnell. Her official title is our administrative assistant. However, if you've gotten her on the phone to answer questions and things like that, she's much more than that. But this is her, and you know where to find her. And then the last picture here is Carolyn. She is our new 4-H program assistant. So we had Christina here for a little while. She was so good that the city of Greenville grabbed her, and now she works within the city of Greenville and their Parks and Recreation Department. And so we snagged Carolyn. And so she has a part-time schedule that we can share with all of you if you need to get a hold of her if you're a 4-H volunteer. But that's her wonderful face. She's working on her master's at East Texas A&M. She also resides at that blueberry farm there in Campbell, connected with the college. So we're happy to have her. And then at the bottom there, I didn't know if y'all knew this, but both in Ian's department of ag and mine in FCH, we periodically host college interns. Ian has an intern in his office right now, and she'll be there with him for the whole semester. So if you see extra people at the office, they're probably interns. I typically get public health interns throughout their summer courses. And so anyways, we wanted y'all to know that just in case you come in the office and you're like, who are you? So here we all are. I went backwards, pardon me. Let's go forward. I think this one's Ian, so I'm gonna mute myself and let him speak.
All right. Excuse me. All right. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So this part's just kind of telling everyone how we break up, who kind of reports to who, and which one of the departments me and Mary are both over. So as you'll see, some stuff we do share and some stuff we do separate. So we'll use Mary, which is the Family and Community Health, or FCH. She is also, Texas Education Extension Association, which is our TIA, our Master Wellness Volunteers. 4-H is one that we both share. Our Leadership Advisory Board is again one that we both share, but then she also has her FCH task force. On my side, which is the Ag and Natural Resources, I'm in charge of our Hunt County Master Gardeners. We have our Ag Committee that I also govern over, and then my A&R task force. So that kind of gives y'all a brief summary of which ones, and that will also play into some other slides further on who you're supposed to report to, depending on if there's something going on, or if you have a question, who do you go to with your specific question.
I'm so sorry, guys. I went into I'm having issues with my technology skills. Let's see if I can just use my arrow. I'm using my mouse, but I'm so sorry, guys. Hold on one second. Okay, there's the button. Okay, here we go. Back on track. Sorry about that. Operator error. So again, this is a quick slide just to let us know why documentation is important. Above all, it's protection for you as a volunteer. Within our office, and then again it's a protection for us in the office. So as we move through the training, hopefully that makes a little bit more sense and we start to define what that protection is. But the moral of the story is if we know what you're doing out in the community as a volunteer representing our office, if there is any sort of issue, even if it's a positive thing that we need to interpret, we have the documentation from you. The communication lines are very clear and open. We're aware of what's going on via our volunteers, and we can support you out in the community. I hope that it'll come across probably a little bit more clearly as we move through the slides. The second big reason why we document, again, it's that positive reason, that program interpretation. So say our master gardeners are hosting a fun, interactive, hands-on program in the garden. Well, that's something we want to share with the community via the social media sites we have or with our commissioners and commissioners court. So us knowing that you're having it, lets us then interpret it to the rest of the community. So again, it just shows continuity that our volunteers are out there in the community, the agents know what's going on within the office, and we're one unified system. So hopefully that makes good sense. Does anybody have any questions so far? You can unmute and ask. I don't want to lose anybody along the way. Feel good? Okay, let's keep trucking along. I think this one is still mine. Yes. Okay, so this one, we have made some updates to our sign-in sheets. And the reason for these updates, in-house updates, if you will, is so we can more clearly do our monthly reports as agents and then more clearly do our annual documentation as it relates to volunteers. So I don't think I can zoom in. Maybe you can zoom in on your screen, but the picture on the left is our sign-in sheet. And the big circles there are to let you guys know of some things that we have changed within this programming year. So there is a space for our attendees of our programs or our meetings to say yes or no to a photo release. You are all grown adults. Some of you have got children in our program. it is within anybody's own discrepancy to want to be shared on our social media and to have pictures taken of them. So we made sure to add this to our sign-in so we know right out of the gate if attendee wants a picture, if they want their children to be in the picture, or if they don't. So that is important documentation there. The second thing I've got circled is to denote whether or not you are an adult or youth volunteer, or if you're an AgriLife employee. This comes into handy again with our monthly reports. And it helps us when we receive these sign-in sheets from our volunteers. It lets us know who was in the room, because maybe you are a club leader and we communicate with you and we know exactly who you are, but maybe you are a parent that is a screened volunteer. We just want to know who's at the club meetings, who's at these presentations. Again, to kind of clarify our monthly reports so we know who's in the room when Ian and I are not in the room. Now, the second picture there on the right is the back of our sign-in sheets, and this has got some edits to it as well. Again, biggest intention with all of this is so as agents, when we're making our monthly accountability reports to our district administrator, we can have those reports be as thorough as possible. So that first circle is required documents that we are expecting from either a volunteer hosting an educational program, or within 4-H if you are hosting a local club meeting. So we need the sign-in sheet itself, obviously, the agenda from your meeting, and then your meeting minutes and any notes attached. And so we put the little check mark there. That way it might trigger y'all's memory as you're going through this and submitting these papers. What do they need again? It's a little checklist for you. And then the other circle down there toward the mid to end part of the page is your volunteer hours. So every year we get to celebrate in April our annual volunteer hours. It's a total of all of our different volunteer groups. We write a big check of its economic impact and we go to commissioner's court and present it to the judge and all the commissioners. And what that does is it interprets our impact, our economic impact as an agency within Hunt County. So as it stands right now, we don't get the most thorough count because for our 4-H volunteers, for example, y'all don't use the same volunteer reporting system as the Master Gardeners and Matia volunteers. So we kind of guesstimate how many volunteer hours club managers and project leaders are putting in. This gives you a place to actually put your number in. We try to overestimate because we know preparation goes into those meetings and practices and things. So we do try to overestimate, but again, in light of trying to get a most accurate number of volunteer hours, here's a little place for you to put it. So hopefully we start to get some more thorough numbers. Does anybody have any questions on that? I over-explained. We feel good about that? Okay.
On the volunteer, where it's listed as volunteer, I've just been putting a check mark that I am a volunteer. Are y'all needing me to put like an MG for Master Gardener? Are you needing to know what?
We don't necessarily need to. Good question, Carla. I don't think we need to know what association that you fall underneath our department. We're just trying to get the information. Are you an adult volunteer? Yes. How many hours did you put in for this exact activity from this sign-in sheet? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Because Carla, with you guys in the Master Gardener department of our office, you guys also put in hours again in that EVS system. So we've got y'all's tracking probably the most thorough. But
Okay.
again, for like our 4-H volunteers, there's no way to capture our club managers' efforts as of right now. So we're kind of guessing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good question. Anybody else? Okay, let's keep trucking along here. Oh, this is Ian, so I'm going to
Yep.
mute myself. If
All
I-
right, so this next slide is going over what monthly documents we are needing from everybody. That includes our master gardeners, our TIA ladies, our club managers, everybody. So, like Mary just talked about, we need your sign-in sheets. And like she also mentioned, on the back of the sign-in sheet, you'll see where we also are asking for you to attach your agenda, which is also one of our monthly documents we need, your minutes for that meeting as well. That's also on the back of the sign-in sheet. The two are volunteer hours, as well as you'll see number 5 there. I didn't see on the back of the sign-in sheet, but another report that we are needing from our volunteers, especially, is our financial reports for the month. So just I know from my master gardeners, we usually talk about that. We have a copy of our budget that we're dealing with every time at our master garden meeting. So we also need that from our club managers. Just kind of what y'all are dealing with, what y'all's budgets are looking like. Our master gardeners, our TIAs, my ag committee, Mary's FCH committee, all of these groups fall into these monthly documentations. So, if y'all have questions on this, please ask us so we can help out and figure out what we need to get y'all. If it's, us emailing y'all some copies or just whatever y'all need, please let us know so we can help y'all in any way that we can. Does anyone have any questions on any of the monthly documents that need to be submitted? All right, I think we're
Like,
good to
who
move
would
to
be responsible for that? I'm sorry. Who
I'm
would be
not good, Miss Carla.
would be like with the master gardeners, it's the president that gives you all that information monthly
So
or
it could be just the secretary, it could be the president, Miss Carla, because obviously the secretary would have the minutes, but the president's fine with turning that into me. I'm fine with that. Or if the secretary, we just if we can designate it to one person bringing it in, that makes it a little smoother. So then that way we don't have 3 people bringing us the exact same copy. And that's something that we can discuss, or every organization or volunteer group can discuss within their own group on who do they want turning in the documents to us.
right. I was just wondering if that's already been established.
No, ma'am,
Or,
and it's something
okay.
that
Okay.
we can discuss at our
All
next
right.
Master Gardener meeting.
I see.
But good question.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? All right, Miss Mary, I think you're good to go to the next one.
Okay, well, and just to add on a little bit with the financial report, again, some of our associations and our local clubs and things, we have the treasurer. So this is what we mean by financial reports would be the treasurer's report. This is not a new report that you're supposed to be forming. We just want to be informed on the financials of all of our volunteer groups each month, if that helps paint a different picture there. Okay, let's move on to the next one. As long as my mouse wants to work. Annual reports. Okay, and now Danelle, I don't know, Danelle, can you pop into my office as well? Because Danelle heavily supports this process with Ian and I for annual documentation. And I might not have the right numbers on here. Is it a 990?
998.
990N. So that is documentation that we do take care of for our volunteer groups. So you don't really have to worry about that. The next one on there is the annual review of support funds.
Support group funds.
Support group funds. And that happens within our Master Gardener Association and within our TIA Association.
And committees.
And our committees. So our 4-H financials fall into this next bullet point of our annual club charter paperwork. So between the second and third bullet point, everybody as a volunteer, you need to just making you more aware of every year we evaluate funds. And the process does look different within each other's group. This is a withstanding system we've had in the office. It's not new information, but by telling you this and presenting it in this way, you're going to get a little bit more of a bird's eye view of how the office operates kind of on its annual schedule, if you will. And then annual documentation, like I was mentioning, we do document our volunteer hours and go to that commissioner's court and celebrate our volunteers during National Volunteer Month in April. And so that is part of that annual documentation there. Did I miss any, Danelle?
No, you said it all.
Those are the big ones. I got nervous because she knows all the official names for them. So I knew the 990 was missing a letter. It's the 990N. Okay, okay. Does anybody have any questions on annual documentation that happens within our office? I know this is probably over explaining, especially since many of you here, or maybe some of you that will be listening, you've been with us for a very long time. But again, as we get new volunteers every year, we got to go back over certain things. So, okay, we're going to keep trucking along. Okay, I'm gonna let Ian talk about our master gardeners. Here's where we kind of break it up into disciplines a little bit.
All right. So for the master gardeners, again, like I talked about at the beginning, how me and Mary both separate and we all have our own groups that we are in charge of. As most of us know, the Hump County Master Gardeners falls under me. So all association paperwork is to be turned to the ag agent, which is me at the moment. So again, that's all the sign-in sheets that we talked about, which y'all already do so well at, and just those financial documents, everything will come to me. If you have questions or concerns, again, we talked about the reporting agent, that's me. So if there's an issue going on, we have a question, or just want to let me know something that's going on within the Master Gardeners, I'm the person you report to on that. And then just kind of reminder for all my Master Gardeners, please know I am here as available for, I want to be that resource for y'all. So, that kind of ties into the very bottom part there that, I want to be, and I am supposed to be your first point of contact for resources or questions. Now, of course, Nell is always happy to help. She is wonderful at her job, and that's why we love having her here. But please know that, y'all can come to me, and I need y'all to come to me to be the first point of contact, just because Nell is not just responsible for only my side with ag and natural resource, but also with Mary's for the family community health. So she wears a lot of hats and is constantly helping out Mary, constantly helping out me, constantly helping out Carolyn. She'll answer questions for our interns as well. So she is just very busy. So anytime we can do a little something, take something off her plate and, ease up on her to let her be able to continue to help out everybody, that's what we want to do. So please just make me your first point of contact if you have questions or concerns. And of course, if I am out of the office, Danella is always happy still to help, but just please try to reach out to me first. I know we've got Miss Carla, Miss Tanya. I don't know if we've got anyone else, but do y'all have any questions as far as anything to do with our master gardeners? All right. Well, then, Miss Mary, I think you're good to go to the next one.
All right, we're feeling good. Let's see here. Oh, Ian, I am going to tag onto this because it will come up again. It is true to form with the office. If you are sending us an email, say you're a master gardener and we're telling you to contact Ian first, you can always CC Danelle to those emails. Phone calls, again, should go through Ian and I first. If we're not here, Danelle will be the one taking the message, but sometimes we are out and Danelle does keep us both accountable. So if you're sending an email from any one of our volunteer groups, you can CC Danelle and she keeps Ian and I on point. So anyways, I want to plug that in there because I'm not sure if it's represented in any of the slides, but feel free to CC Danelle for sure. Okay, let's go. Okay, let's talk a little bit about my TIA Association, the Texas Extension Education Association. Similar documentation from the MGs and the 4-H volunteers. So we get our sign-in sheets. I get the agenda and the minutes. We have a treasury report or financial documents that get submitted every month. And then again, a tally of our monthly volunteer hours. Repetitive from the other groups, but we did want to classify each one of you that way. Hopefully it becomes a little bit clear, especially if you're new to the team. I'm the FCH agent. I'm your first point of contact for resources and questions. But again, if it is email, you can definitely CC Miss Danelle and she will help me circle back to things. But as far as that goes, I think it's pretty straightforward, and it mimics some of our other groups as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our 4-H group. You can tell the slide got way more decorated because here is where it might appear to be a little bit gray because Ian and I both share 4-H responsibilities. We have the county-funded part-time program assistant that assists with programming and some behind-the-scenes organizational stuff, but the bottom line of it is Ian and I are both 4-H agents proper, okay? Until the county gives us a full 4-H position. That would be really amazing. Anyways, so the mandatory documentation within our 4-H volunteers really comes from the club leadership, so our club managers and assistant managers, and then our project leaders. So if you are watching this at a later time and you are a screened adult volunteer that might volunteer kind of episodically, this documentation will not come from you, but it is good for you to know that you might possibly send us a sign-in sheet if you're hosting an event or something, a one-shot kind of thing. So we want to include everybody here. So the things we need from our 4-H is that sign-in sheet filled out to its entirety, the agenda and the minutes. So we know what's going on in your local club, what has transpired within that meeting, your treasury report, and then your monthly volunteer hours, whether you're adult or a youth volunteer. So say you have a youth ambassador or a youth representative within your local club, their volunteer hours count too. If they're hosting the Clover Kid activity, they get volunteer hours for that stuff too. So we want to hear from our youth volunteers as well. These documents are for our office only. These should not be shared on any public social media site or really even in those private groups. These are in-house documents, so they should not be included in any social media. They're not anybody's business except ours within the association and our members that are enrolled with us. So social media is a good place to advertise your meeting and use it for promotional kind of capabilities. But as far as reports, your minutes, treasury statements, that stuff is not, that's knowledge for members only. That's kind of a privilege you get when you pay that $25 enrollment fee. So this documentation is between our volunteers and our office. Official roles for me and Ian, hopefully this kind of helps you start to divide things out within our 4-H program. I am officially the 4-H coordinator. What that means is when we meet annually, or if there's an issue with our district administrator, Dr. Miller is going to talk to me as the 4-H coordinator. Ian is new. He might get that title. I also hold the county coordinator title as well within our office to deal with county affairs within the Hunt County employee offices and things like that. So hopefully we both become a coordinator in the future, but we're going to let Ian get comfortable and get fully trained before we slap that on him. So just so 4-H volunteers know, I am the official 4-H coordinator. Does that mean anything special to you as a volunteer? Not particularly, but just know that it exists. And then within 4-H, the 4-H FCH projects. So if currently we don't have any project leaders that fall under that umbrella, but we're growing every day. And every year we have these goals. And maybe they'll start to step up. But those projects and those project leaders would report to me within the FCH projects. And those include consumer education, fashion interior design, food and nutrition, health and personal safety, and then there's a new personal finance education project too. So hopefully we will get some of those projects eventually. I'd love it. Now in Ian's department, he is kind of your point of contact with any projects that relate to the ag and livestock projects. So that includes all of our species varieties, the vet science program, and agronomy. So we don't have all those projects represented within Hunt County right now, but if we did, Ian is the point of contact with that. Ian's also the point of contact with the natural resource project. So that includes our aquatic science, our entomology, our outdoor living skills, our sports fishing, that kind of stuff. Ian is going to be the big resource for you guys on that. Now, both agents, because there's a couple other umbrellas within the projects that Ian and I kind of split, mostly because currently within Hunt County 4-H, there is primarily ag livestock project groups out there and natural resource project groups. So this is where there's some overlap. So STEM and the leadership and citizen projects, we both can be a point of contact of. As it stands right now, I kind of support the STEM and leadership again, because I don't have any full-fledged FCH project leaders out there. So I'm kind of, but just know Ian is out there available for that too. It's something we both kind of share. Two links that I included here are some program for minor specific compliant documents. They're linked into this PowerPoint. If you're not able, we'll share the PowerPoint with the recording and make sure everybody has access to that. Those got updated this past September. And so there are some different documentations and some requirements when you are having programs with minors. Ian and I have our next official big training in May, where they are supposed to give final words on program for minors. So our May lunch and learn is going to include a more thorough description of any of this. We wanted to get this to you now because we're right in the middle of the 4-H year. We're not going to be waiting too much more. We have been waiting since September when they said things were starting to change with programs for minors, but we wanted you to have access to some of these PDFs. These PDFs are on the Texas 4-H website already, but again, this will be another way for you to get them. If you are a 4-H volunteer and you're trying to get a hold of this office, please and you're sending an email, send it to that Hunt 4-H email, because that's the only email that Ian, myself, Danelle, and Carolyn share. We all check into that inbox. So if it is this documentation, it can go to that 4-H email, because Carolyn will be tasked with organizing them in each one of your club folders, and she shares that information with Ian and I. You don't have to send it to me and Ian necessarily. Send it to that 4-H email and it gets filtered within the office. That was a lot of information. Do any of my 4-H folks online now have any questions before I move on? Because that was a lot. We're feeling good? Okay. Let's move to the next one. This is Ian, so I'm going to hush for a second.
All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is whether there's an incident and accident documentation. So this applies to all groups that exist within Hunt County, because this is not only if it involves a minor, this is if it involves a volunteer. So number one, on the side here, you see that I've got kind of a copy of what the incident injury report form looks like. Now that's something me and Mary fill out if something were to happen, but wanted to post it just so y'all can kind of see what type of questions we may be asking you in the event that this happens at a event that y'all are supervising that me and Mary are not present at. So if it involves a minor, the parents are to be notified immediately. Doesn't matter what's going on, you call the parent immediately, and then if it requires 911, get emergency services there. Once the emergency is taken care of, the supervising agent is to be notified immediately. So again, if it is something that falls under Mary's purview, such as a TIA meeting and we've got kids there, or one of the 4-H activities that Mary supervises, she is going to be the supervising agent for that. If it is our master gardeners, or one of our livestock project groups, shooting sports, something like that, I'm the supervising agent, so they need to be reported to me immediately. If for some reason me or Mary are not available and it is one of our purviews that we are looking over, then you are to contact the other agent. Doesn't matter what's going on. Again, if it's something with Mary and she has to be out at a program, you notify me. So that way we can get it documented and turned in. So vice versa. If I'm out at a program or a training and y'all call, hey, we've got this going on, you speak to Mary directly. So next thing, it does not matter how small of an incident, whether that kid trips and just scrapes her knee. It's like, oh, they cried for a little bit. We put a Band-Aid on it. Doesn't matter. You call the parent immediately. You let us know, and then we will get with our superiors and decide whether or not it's something that needs to be ran up the chain and documented, or if they are fine with it. And the same thing goes with our volunteers. I'll use my master gardeners for example. Say someone's out there and gets too hot and falls out, and we, with a little bit of water and just some time to shade, they get back to feeling better. Y'all still have to notify me immediately. And where this is coming from, this is not just an Ian and Mary decision. This is coming from Texas A&M College Station, and they are making this rule for any department that resides or works under the Texas A&M umbrella. So please understand, this is not us just trying to hammer things in on y'all or make things harder. This is coming from above us, and the overall goal is to protect y'all as well as the office. As I just said, it doesn't matter if it is a minor or a volunteer. At the very bottom, there is a link that me and Mary would go to. And part of this reason that we ask that y'all contact us immediately is that anytime there is an incident or an accident, we have 48 hours that we have to get the documentation turned into and notify the correct people. If we are outside that 48 hours, there is some bad consequences that are going to be coming down the line. And it is not going to be fun for us. It's not going to be fun for, if it's say it's a 4-H group and it's a 4-H club leader, things will roll downhill, as the saying goes, when things go wrong. Because like I said, we're going over training, so it doesn't matter how small. If it's a kid ran into a door, got a little bump on his head, we've got to know. Volunteer, we'll use Mary. Say somebody's doing a cooking demonstration, they cut their finger, Mary has to know immediately. Does anyone have any kind of questions regarding this? I know it, kind of doom and gloom on this part, but it's very important that y'all understand that we have to take this particular slide very seriously. All right. Ms.
Is
Mary?
there,
Oh, yes, Ms. Carla.
is there contact information or whatever? There's a lot of times that we are there. We've got scheduled work days in the garden on like Saturdays. Where would that information?
So for the time being, we are working on a contact system for y'all.
Okay.
But for the time being, if it's something like that where it's on a weekend, email us, call the office, leave a voicemail. We understand it's a Saturday, no one's going to be here, but at least that way we have documentation that you reached out, you did what you were supposed to, left the message, and then me and Mary will get the information and we will move it up to who we need to. But we are working on trying to figure out a good contact system. So that way, if it does happen after hours or on a weekend, y'all still can get a hold of us in a situation.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Mary, did you have anything you wanted to add on this slide?
Well, it's kind of sparked by Carla's question. That's a good question, Carla. How do you get a hold of us? We're there Saturday, and how do I get a hold of Mary and Ian? Well, I am completely okay. And as it stands, I was trying to think of all of our 4-H club managers and assistant managers. They have my cell phone number. The problem with leaving a message at the office, unfortunately, is again, this paper has to be filled out by Ian or I and into the hands of whoever into this risk management portal within 48 hours. So if this happens on a Friday night, we're in trouble. So I'm okay with giving my cell phone number to, like I said, I think a lot of us already have it if you need it. Because now Ian, you get to determine how you want to be contacted, but
I'm perfectly fine with giving out my cell phone number.
And Carla, to your question, if it's one person present that has Ian's phone number, we didn't put our phone numbers on this slide because we don't necessarily need that kind of access. But again, if our club managers or an assistant manager has our cell phone number, then that would work. So Ian, maybe if just Carla, as the garden manager, has it for the work days. You guys can work that out. But Carla, I like that question. Is this coming across clearly, guys? Does anybody have any other questions? This is if there is an incident, injury, you know. And like Ian said, you think it's a small thing and we're not going to report it, and it turns into it could turn a paper cut can turn into a staph infection. And I'm just going to give that example. That has not happened in Hunt County, but I have heard that before. I know that sounds ridiculous. But I'd rather be over thorough. And honestly, Ian and I got retrained on this in our fall admin meeting, because this risk management system, the people that have been hired have worked with CPS before. So they are of that kind of alert within risk management. Nothing is too small in their eyes, and they're taking it very seriously. So that's why we're sharing it with you guys. All right. I think that kind of moves us into the next slide, which is Child Protective Service documentation. Again, within our 4-H volunteers, you guys are the ones that get access to children within your project groups and your club meetings. And this is a training that you get when you sign up to be a screen volunteer. You go through the Child Protective Service documentation. I wanted to add this in here as a whole within our office, because possibly some of our master gardeners, some of them come to our Path to Plate or our Science of Ag days, or maybe there is something within our Heritage Garden scavenger hunt and you see something. And you might not have necessarily gone through this Child Protective Service training as thorough as our 4-H volunteers. So I did want to add this in here for everybody. Just know all AgriLife employees and volunteers are mandatory reporters. The law takes this very seriously. Neglect to report something that you see that could fall under this umbrella is a misdemeanor. I think it's Class A misdemeanor. So the law requires any person who suspects abuse or neglect to report it. I'm just going to read this verbatim, because this is the law surrounded around this. Ultimately, we're here to protect those children. And you'll see this as I keep reading through here. So any person having cause to believe that a child's physical or mental health or welfare has been adversely affected by abuse or neglect, to immediately make a report to law enforcement. So that's your first call, is to local law enforcement. And we can get depending on the severity of it, it might be a 911 call, or it might be a call to the non-emergency law enforcement. That depends on the incident. And then it is followed up by an online report through the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. And there's the link. There's the link to do the online reporting. In years past, that immediate report to law enforcement component was not there the way that it is now. But again, depending on the situation, that child might need to be removed from that situation immediately. So it is an emergency at that point. There at the bottom, the person reporting, just so you know, you're like, oh, great, now I've got to call the police before I do the online thing. This is the kind of stuff that you will have to report. The child's name, description, age, and address, the name and address of the person responsible or in custody of the child, and any other information that helps assist the child in this situation. These are few and far between, thank goodness, in my time here in the office. But again, when we work with kiddos in our community, if it's a day camp or a program that we think is just we're doing the program because it's fun, and then you see these types of things, you become a witness, you become a reporter. So I do want to add, if you are a volunteer that makes a report such as this, that remains an issue between you, the law enforcement officer, and this hotline. Do not share this information with your spouse. Do not share it with your other volunteers within your group, because what that does is it makes them a reporter also. So once the story starts to share, even within our own office, Ian makes a report. If he shares that in a staff conference, then Danelle, me, Carolyn, we all become reporters at that point. So if you experience this firsthand, it's between you, the law enforcement, that family, and this hotline. Do not share this information with anybody. Does anybody have any questions about this? Okay. Like I said, it's few and far between here in Hunt County, but you never know when you're working with the community. Okay, y'all, that's the end of it. I like to always end on a quote because it always like puts a nice happy bow. This one's from Mr. Henry Ford. Coming together is the beginning, keeping together is our progress, and then working together means success. I know documentation is not why you sign up to be a volunteer. You sign up to be a volunteer because you have the heart and the passion to do so, but because you are working with other people's children or people in the community, documentation becomes very important, particularly if something negative is to arise. But again, also it helps us to report those positive things that we're doing in the community. It keeps us all on the same page. And it helps us all support each other. I wanted you to have the date for our next one because I know this one came fast and furious. Our next Lunch and Learn is going to be in April, on April 8th. And our topic is going to be our Hunt County AgriLife office and its participation in the fair at the end of April, beginning of May. We do have an AgriLife booth out there that all of y'all are welcome to and to sign up for and things like that. Y'all that have seen it before from last year, you kind of know where we're going with this, but that's going to be the topic coming up in April. So mark your calendars. If you can't make it, it'll be recorded and shared on our YouTube. You guys will have a link to it to be updated. Ian, do you have anything, or does anybody have any questions before we sign out here?
No, ma'am. Only thing I would say is if you don't have my number, because I think I've given it out to a couple of people. If you don't have my number, email me, get with me if you're here in the office, and we'll get that to y'all. So then that way y'all have my number as well to be able to report if something's going on. Again, that way, if it's something that falls under my purview, you'll report to me. And again, if it's something under Mary, you can report it to her.